Hello, we are back in the office after our Christmas break, and in our first video together, we have to talk about the biggest news story that we missed over the holidays, and that is The Witcher. But more specifically, how popular the Witcher TV show is, and how it's rejuvenating interest in the Witcher franchise across all other media, including the game, which is now breaking new records. Here to discuss it with me is Mr. Henry, Charmer of Chelmsford, Cooper.
Toss a coin to Pretty Good Gaming over on Patreon, right?
Toss a coin to your PGG
YouTuber.
So let's talk about how well the show is doing. Firstly, the TV show is doing impressively well. It's now one of the highest rated Netflix original series to date, apparently, with Netflix tweeting a week ago at the end of the year that The Witcher was the second most popular or most watched series of 2019 in the US, behind Stranger Things, which was first, and ahead of Umbrella Academy, which was third. And that was only 10 days after the launch of the TV show, which makes it all the more impressive.
Yeah, Netflix carried on with their traditional format of dumping all the episodes at once, so all 8 episodes of the new dark fantasy show dropped on December the 20th, and it managed to dethrone Disney Plus's The Mandalorian from being the most popular show. The show currently sits at 8.5 on IMDb, which is very impressive, placing it alongside shows like Sons of Anarchy and Vikings and Spartacus, good stuff, and it puts it in the top 250 shows on the site. So despite some early skepticism from fans, the show is doing pretty well and currently sits at a 93% audience rating on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, I think skepticism is the accurate word, and negativity to some point as well, because after the show was announced, people just weren't happy, because obviously it's a beloved franchise. People play the game and love the game. They didn't want it bastardized by Netflix, but they seem to have done all right?
Because we've seen so many adaptations of stuff, especially video game adaptations, which are just garbage.
Yeah.
And the point to be made here is that this isn't an adaptation of the game, it's more of an adaptation of the books, but obviously the games are hugely successful, and that's how all of us know of the franchise of The Witcher. Well, I've not read the books, I know the games.
Yeah, exactly. Are you surprised how well the show's done? Does it matter that Yennefer isn't pale-skinned in the show?
I mean, I don't really care. The thing that's bothered me about casting, and this is a mild spoiler warning in general, we're probably not going to touch on much, and I've not even finished
We've only seen 4 episodes.
Yeah, we're only like halfway.
So, yeah.
But what bugged me is that Triss Merigold isn't a redhead. She's just she's got brown hair. You're meant to be a saucy redhead. But that's beside the point. I'm not going to get triggered over
Let's not get into that.
But yeah, it seems like people were worried, quite rightly so, because as I said, there's been some misfires in the past, but it seems to be pretty good, and that's great news. I think they've already booked in a second series, which seems like the people behind the scenes are at least very, very confident in it. And just in case you've been living under a rock for the past few years, The Witcher 3: The Wild Hunt is regarded as one of the best games of all time. It's currently between 91 and 93 on Metacritic across PS4, Xbox One, and PC. It was recently re-released on the Nintendo Switch with all the DLC included, as well as a few different goodies, and that game came out back in May 2015, so who cares? It's like nearly 5 years on now. Who really gives a toss? But apparently everyone does now, and that is back down to the show. The game has seen a huge resurgence in player activity, and that's all thanks to the new Netflix adaptation. The game currently has more concurrent players than it did back when it launched almost 5 years ago, which is a huge thing that's never really happened before. It even managed to amass over 100,000 concurrent players for Steam for the first time ever last weekend, and that set a new record for peak concurrent players at 103,329. And it only got, I say only, it's still pretty impressive, but it only got to 92,268 when it launched, and it's totally unprecedented, especially for a single player game and an RPG, and one that is, as huge as The Witcher. The Witcher is full of content. This kind of stuff you expect it with a multiplayer game, because they'll release a new update of content, because that's kind of the way the content mill works with those titles. But for a single player game, it's really odd and unusual. But single player games are dead, so they keep telling us, but evidently if you make a show out of it, they're not dead.
Well, it's funny because the show brings mass appeal, obviously, and I saw one funny tweet where one guy's mother wanted to play the game on the PS4, but having watched the TV show, I wasn't able to find it when researching today. It was just like a passing tweet that I saw, but just an indication of how everyone's interested in the game now because of the show.
The game also had a bit of a boost on Twitch, going from about 798 viewers the day before launch. That was with a bit of a steady climb, and then it smashed its way through to 14,520 by Saturday the 4th of January. That was the peak, and it's going back down a little bit now because the show's hype is kind of dwindling a little bit after, they dump all the episodes at once, everyone watches them all at once, and then the conversation sort of fizzles out.
So for those of you who don't know, the dude who wrote the book is called Andrzej Sapkowski. And great news for fans of the game is that following the contract issues that I had with CDPR about the future of the franchise, they've now come to an agreement. For those of you who don't remember, when CDPR first signed the rights to produce the Witcher games, Sapkowski turned down a percentage of the profits for a lump sum payment instead, because he didn't believe the game would be successful. He just thought, I'd take the money now because it's not going to do that well. The game was a huge success, and he regretted that decision, let's say that, just a little bit. So last year, CDPR received a demand for payment submitted on behalf of Sapkowski for at least 60 million Polish zloty, around £12 million, for royalties due to him for the Witcher franchise. So there was a bit of a stalemate, there was a bit of a back and forth, and we weren't sure how it was going to go because it was a bit of a huge demand that by Sapkowski. However, on December the 20th, CDPR have announced that they came to an agreement with Sapkowski to continue the relationship in future, and a little snippet from the announcement is here. The agreement satisfies and fully clarifies the need and expectations of both parties, past and present, and sets out a framework for the future cooperation between the two sides. Everything's settled now, both sides are happy, and happiest of all are the gamers who are in for some more Witcher games in future from CDPR.
Yeah, I reckon this is a bit of like, right, well, we can't give you all this 12 million right now. We'll give you a little bit. We'll give you a bunch, but we'll give you a percentage of whatever we do next. And then you'll just shut up and let us do what we need to do.
Yeah, the details weren't disclosed, but I'm sure it's something like that.
So the show is clearly very popular, and Sapkowski has had sort of butted heads with the games creators in the past because he's not really a game. He doesn't really get it. It's not his sort of thing. But he seems to be much more friendly towards the show. And when he spoke with People magazine, he said that I was more than happy with Henry Cavill's appearance as The Witcher, which is great if you're an actor playing the lead in a show. You want the original creator to come out and say, yeah, you did really well. So Henry Cavill is probably best known for playing Superman in the recent run of DC superhero movies, but he's been quite widely and quite fairly, to be honest, criticised for not having the kind of patriotic and hopeful Superman vibe in his performance, and that's not necessarily his fault, to do with writing and directors and whatever. But when it comes to Geralt, he's had a much easier job because he pretty much just has to grumble and grunt through his lines with the occasional well-timed F-bomb. And to be honest, he does that really, really well.
He does that well.
He does that very well.
He's got that down, hasn't he?
And one thing that's for sure, I think he is definitely partially responsible for the show's success, not just because of his acting talents and what he brings to the character, but the amount of time he bloody spends shirtless. I mean, my girlfriend definitely wouldn't really give a toss about it if she didn't get to see him shirtless every other episode.
To be fair, though, Yennefer, she's shirtless a lot as well, isn't she?
Let's just say there's a clear reason why she was cast in that role. let's be honest here. And the show does have a lot in common with other shows like Game of Thrones, mainly due to the fantasy kind of setting and the abundance of tits. Literally, there came an episode where I was like, there's not been that many tits in this show as I expected, because there's a lot in the games. And there was one episode where there was human tits, there was witch tits, there was monster tits, it was everywhere.
A tit buffet.
A tit buffet. They're not the kind of tits I want to go near, thank you very much. But when it comes to other similarities with HBO's show Game of Thrones, Sapkowski, the author of the books, is definitely drawing the line somewhere. And he said, I do believe that my job as creative consultant for this series is to make sure that at no point in the show will Ed Sheeran sing, and I will make sure that doesn't happen. I will make sure.
Proper dig at Game of Thrones, that one.
Yeah, loads. I really didn't mind that. I mean, I didn't love it. I was like, oh, it's Ed Sheeran, this bit immersion breaking, whatever. But evidently, he really hated it. I know a lot of people really hated it.
I disliked it. Let's say that. I disliked it.
I didn't really care.
Yeah.
I knew what it was, but I wasn't that bitter about it.
Oh, there you go. He's definitely not coming anywhere near The Witcher, which is good news for the most of us, that's for sure. But it's not only the game that's seen a knock-on effect from the popularity of the show. Apparently, The Witcher on Netflix has caused 2 of the original Andrzej Sapkowski books to land on the New York Times bestseller charts, and over on Amazon in the US, 3 of the books, The Last Witch, Blood of Elves, and Sword of Destiny, are in the top 12. That's number 1, number 3, and number 12, and they're all sold out right now, and you're facing around a 2-week wait to get your order fulfilled if you want to read a physical copy of the book. And as if people needed more of an excuse to start another playthrough of The Witcher 3, modders have now modded in the show's actors as the main characters in the game, so you can play as Henry Cavill, and you can have the new Yennefer and the new Ciri as well in your playthrough. And the song that's been stuck in everyone's head since watching the episode 2, Toss a Coin to Your Witcher, there's also been been modded into the game as a cutscene. Who doesn't need more Toss a Coin to Your Witcher? That's a banger, right? As
we
I would
had
say
that playing on New Year's Eve. Someone had managed to upload it to Spotify because it's not officially released yet, but I think someone ripped it off YouTube and then uploaded it as a podcast, just like a two and a half minute thing. So we had it playing to bring in the new year, which was great fun. So there you have it with the latest Witcher news, some of which was a little old, but we thought we'd bring it all together for one place for you. Bring us back into the new year with a good, positive news story about a game everyone loves and a show that seems to be doing pretty damn well. Anyway, as I said in the beginning, toss a coin to your favorite YouTube channel, Pretty Good Gaming, over on patreon.com/Pretty Good Gaming. I think I got that right. I might have said it backwards. You'll figure it out. Make sure to leave a comment down below what you think about the Witcher TV show. Do you think it's as good as people say? Please try to avoid spoilers because Gaz and I haven't actually finished it yet. Make sure you hit subscribe and, of course, the bell. I've been Henry. He's been Gaz. We'll see you later on this year. Bye for now.
Bye for now.